building me a home. Thank you for your standing, brothers and sisters, as the word of the Lord was read. Building. To construct by putting together. Many of us who's here today, who's listening, or looking at this sermon on television, love the Lord. But most of us are guilty of just going through the motions. We come to church, Marcus, but there is no evidence that there is change in us. We show up, but a whole lot of us never grow up. See, when building is taking place, you need to make sure that you have what's needed to complete the building. Because at the end of the day, ain't nobody responsible for your building but you. So with that said, you got to quit blaming the outcome of your building on everybody else. Because what you put in you is what's going to come out of you. So you got to make sure you're taking in the right stuff. You got to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. My brothers and sisters, if you build on mess, you're going to be messy. If you build on hatred, you'll become a hater. Wish I had some help in here. But if you build on what's right, God will make you righteous. Y'all, with today being Youth and Young Adult Sunday, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is going to be directed towards our young people. And so my older members, don't just tune me out, because I'm still preaching the gospel. And when the gospel is preached, it should really help every listener. As a matter of fact, there's a whole lot of old folk in here who's still trying to live young. Trying to do what young folk do, trying to dress like young folk dress, trying to hang out with the young folk. Help me in here if you can. If you're 60, you ought to act like you're 60. All of us should be in a building process. Truth be told, some of us need to tear down and start building all over again. If your life is out of control and things aren't working for your benefit, that's a pretty good indication that something is wrong with your building. A lot of our young folk today are misguided. They're more concerned about the outside than they are the inside. Many times, my dears, people put stuff before God. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33 lifts up a very wonderful thought. It says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." I want to tell all of our members in here today, everyone who's listening to me, that there is nothing wrong with living a holy life. Come on now, you got to be careful. You got to be careful who you surround yourself with. Because some people will look at you crazy because you love God. Talk back to me if you will. Some folk don't appreciate all the good things that God has done in your life. But I came by to tell you, it ain't nothing wrong with letting the whole world know I'm a child of God. Ain't nothing wrong with letting somebody know God's been good to me. Nothing wrong with letting somebody know it was God that woke me up this morning and started me on my way. I came by to tell you, brothers and sisters, Solomon said it like this, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth. In other words, don't wait till you get old to start serving God. Wish I had some help right about that. Go ahead and serve him while you're young. I came by to tell you, if living saved worked for us when we were young, it ought to be able to work for the generation of today. You got to be careful now, because a lot of us as adults, you know, we want to treat them like they're newborn babies. You know, we want to pacify them. You know, when they mess up, we want to justify the wrong they've done. Parents, listen, we need to do a better job of teaching our children. It's all right to be their friend, but your main duty is to be their parent. According to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, your responsibility is to train them up. Teach them how to respect God. Teach them how to respect you. And teach them how to respect themselves. Because listen, if they can respect themselves, they can respect everybody else. We'll deviate just a little bit, but I'll get back to my lesson. But listen, that was a time when young folk, they had respect for the elderly. Come on. Now, when we were kids, when we were young people, yeah, we made some mistakes. We said some stuff. We did, every now and then we slipped and cussed. Oh, come on, help me in here. But we were very careful, because when we got around the elderly, we watched the way we talked. Come on, we didn't just do anything we wanted to do. Some of us can remember that when we were young, everybody could raise us. Y'all ain't gonna help me, but I'll preach it anyway. Sister Smith could slap me upside my head. And it's something about it, when she would get me for what I did wrong, by the time I got to the house, mother already knew. So parents, we gotta teach them how to respect God, love God, respect themselves, respect you. I came by to tell you, my mother is 82 years old and I'm 51, but listen, I still respect my mother. I don't care how old my mother gets to be, I'm still gonna give her the respect she's due me. She taught me how to love God. And I love God more today than I ever have. Now watch this, young folk. Some people love God because of what God does for them. But it's about 7 of us in here who will say, listen, I love God simply because of who he is. Keith, I love him because he's a provider. I love him because he's a way maker. Come on, help me if you can. I love him because he keeps on making a way. He keeps on watching over me. He keeps on being my keeper. And so because of who you are, I give you glory. Because of who you are, I give you praise. Come on, y'all, because of who you are. I ain't talking about y'all, I'm talking about the Lord. I lift my voice and say, Lord, I'll worship you because of who you are. I looked in the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1 through 3. And here's something that can help our young people today. If you want your life to be lived long, honor your father and your mother. I can't stand it when I see children disrespecting their parents. I know you're saying, but this is a new day. It's still the day of the Lord it made. Your day ain't no different than my day when I was back in the day. See, talking back and being disrespectful and disobedient will shorten your days. Parents, y'all should have helped me right there. It doesn't matter how old you are. Your mother is still your mother. Your father is still your father. I don't care how deadbeat he was or is, he's still your father. They taught you how to build. They instructed you in the word of God. And so what you need to do is you need to take the word and hide that word in your heart. This business of building, brothers and sisters, is serious. Yeah, it's serious. You can't just throw life together. You got to have the right materials to build your life. When I look at this generation today, it's evident that some of our young folk are building on the wrong stuff. No times are different, but can I tell you something? Young folk, we had the same temptations you have. See if I could help somebody in here. We had peer pressure just like you. Come on, we had weed back in the day. The only difference was back then they called it pot. And our pot back then wasn't something that mother cooked in. Some got sophisticated and started calling it grass. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. And I ain't talking about the kind you go out and mow on Saturday morning. We had the same temptations as you. Y'all, we had alcohol. As a matter of fact, several of us in here know what it's like to sit there and sip on a wine cooler. I tell you, I can't get ready for some of these holy folk in here. Some of y'all sipped on one last night. Help me in here, Bartles and James. Ernest and Julio. Y'all done forgot. And for several people in here, wine cooler wasn't strong enough. We had temptations just like you. But this is what we found out. Life is all about choices. And the choices you make today says a lot about who you're going to become tomorrow. You know, the decisions you make right now can affect you for the rest of your life. I wish I had a witness in here. Things you do today can really hurt you, or it can help you in the long run. There are many in here who can testify, oh, if I could turn back the hands of time. Stuff I did back then, I wish I had the opportunity to undo and redo today, because I wouldn't do it like I did back then. So my question today is, what kind of home are you trying to build? Jesus was a carpenter by trade. Yeah, his father Joseph was a carpenter, and so he was the son of a carpenter. And in this text, he helps us with our building process. He says a builder must do at least three things. Real quick. First of all, a builder must hear the instructions. Secondly, a builder must select a foundation. And thirdly, a builder must count up the cost. Now, following this process is the difference in success and failure. It determines whether your house will keep standing or if your house will eventually fall. You got to count up the cost. You got to have the right foundation. You got to listen so that you can hear the instructions. And so in this passage, the Lord talks about a wise builder, and he talks about a foolish builder. Do you not know that your life is a building? I could go back to yesterday's message. Paul said in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1, and we know that if our earthly house, y'all don't go down the road and wait on me. Let me preach the sermon. And we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle shall be dissolved, we have another building. And so in order to have another building, we had to have a building to begin with. And so when you look at me, you don't really see me. You see the building I live in. As I look at you, I don't see you. I see the house. I see the building you live in. And I came by to tell you, since your life is a building, for every life there is only one foundation. You gotta be careful what you build on, because for the believer, that foundation has to be Jesus Christ. Here's what the songwriter said. He said, on Christ, the solid rock, I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. Wise builders hears the instructions of God, and they obey the instructions. Foolish builders reject his word and do things their own way. There is a way that seems right. You can't afford to let others think for you. Because only what you do for Christ will last. The Lord tells us in this text the story of two builders. I'm almost finished, y'all. he talks to us, and the way I want to talk to you is in reverse order of what he shared with us, but I want to share with you what this foolish builder did. First of all, the foolish builder did not count up the cost. My boy, he was not concerned about tomorrow. As a matter of fact, he lived for right now. He took the easy way out. He built on sand. Let me tell you something about sand. Sand is unstable. Had the pleasure of going to Jamaica, and when I was on the beach, as the waves came in, sand that was right here, because the water came up against it, shifted to over here. And so if your house is built on something that can shift, that means your house is not stable. That means you're one way today, and you're another way. Y'all act like y'all don't know anybody like that. Some of y'all can't say amen. Just go ahead and say ouch. It's all good. I'm trying to tell you, you need to tear that house down. A house that's not stable is a house that's unhelpful. It can't help you with anything. It cannot provide what's necessary to keep you when the storms come. He built because he was foolish on something that was unstable. His walls were made up of things that won't last. His motto was, let the good times roll. He was only concerned about where he was right now. But I came by to tell you, that's a foolish mindset. Because anybody in here that's building knows that a wise builder counts up the cost. A wise builder is concerned about tomorrow. A wise builder loves God with all their heart. Jesus said, this wise man built on a solid rock. In other words, he built on a stable foundation. His walls were made up of peace and love. Yeah, his roof that covered him was goodness and mercy. He built on the right things because he knew that eventually storms were coming. I don't mean to mess with nobody, but I believe I need to tell you there's a storm out on the ocean. And it's moving this way. Is our witness in the room? When both of them finished building their house, the storm came, and the foolish man's house was washed away. But the wise builder weathered the storm. I'm closing right here. But can you help me help somebody that's building them a home? Grab a neighbor by the hand. Shake that hand like you love God. And say, neighbor, I know you think you got it all together. But the forecast is calling for a storm. But don't worry about a storm. Be not dismayed, whatever betide, because God will take care of you. If you build on Christ, he'll hold you in the midnight hour when folk try to tie you down. He will hold you up. He'll keep you when it gets real tough. Is our witness in the room? Look at him and tell him he'll make a way out of no way. It doesn't matter what comes your way. God will keep him in perfect peace if he keeps his mind stayed on the Lord. I don't know about you, but I thank God today that as I build my home, I counted up the cost. I heard the instructions. I got the right foundation. I'm building on Jesus. I'm talking about Jesus, the one who gave up his life. He went to Calvary and died. Didn't he die? But early Sunday morning, my foundation got up with all power in his hand. I heard him say, destroy this body, and in 3 days, I'll raise it up again.
Thank you for supporting this ministry. Join Reverend Darryl W. Broussard and the Greater Pure Light Church for any of our anointed worship services every Sunday morning at 8:15 and 11 o'clock a.m. You're also invited to share with us during our weekly Pastor's Bible Study each Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. We're conveniently located off of Highway 59 in Northeast Houston. Our address is 12330 Vickery Drive, Houston, Texas 77039. To order today's message, call the number on the screen or visit our website. We ask that you prayerfully consider donating to this ministry to help us spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. For more information about Reverend Darryl W. Broussard and the Greater Pure Light Church, visit our website at www.greaterpurelight.org.